Welcome back, friends. We continue with the topic of rotational dynamics, and today I will be teaching you to derive an expression for torque acting on a rotating body. If you remember, what is meant by torque? Torque is that physical quantity which produces rotational motion in a body. Okay. Now we also know the formula for force. Force is applicable in translation motion, and force is given by the formula F equal to ma. Today we will be deriving the expression for torque of a rotating body. The earlier concept which I explained for angular momentum, right? A rigid body rotating about an axis with particles m1, m2, m3, m4, mn located at distances r1, r2, r3 up to rn. This concept will remain same. Only thing, in angular momentum I told that body was rotating with uniform angular velocity omega. But here the body is under acceleration. What? The body is under acceleration. Which acceleration? Since it is a rotating body, I'll call it as angular acceleration. So the body is under angular acceleration alpha. Okay? And each and every particle will experience a linear acceleration a1, a2, a3 up to an. Okay? So this thing you understand, the body is not under uniform angular velocity, but the body is under angular acceleration. That means there is angular acceleration in the body, and secondly a1, a2, a3, a4 up to an will be the linear acceleration of each and every particle. Okay, so let's look at the board and understand it. Now see, this is a body rotating about an axis passing through point O. There are particles having masses m1, m2 up to mn at distances r1, r2 up to rn from the axis of rotation. Now let linear acceleration be given by a1 equal to r1 alpha, a2 equal to r2 alpha, and an equal to rn alpha. Okay, is it clear? Now the force acting on particle m1 will be written as F1 equal to m1 into a1, which can be written as m1 r1 alpha, right? a1 is r1 alpha, so m1 a1 will be m1 r1 alpha. Similarly, the force acting on particle m2 will be F2 equal to m2 a2, that is m2 r2 alpha, and for nth particle Fn will be mn an, that is mn rn alpha. So these are the forces acting on each and every particle on the body undergoing rotational motion, right? Now let's talk about the torque. See, torque for a body is nothing but the force multiplied by perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation of that point. So torque is given by R into F. Now torque acting on particle of mass m1 will be given as tau 1 equal to r1 f1, right? But f1 is m1 r1 alpha, so I'll write tau 1 equal to m1 r1 square alpha. Similarly, torque acting on particle of mass m2 will be tau 2 equal to m2 r2 square alpha. And on the same lines, I can write torque acting on nth particle mn will be tau n equal to mn rn square alpha. These are the torques acting on each and every particle which produces rotational motion in the body. Now the total torque can be written as tau equal to tau 1 plus tau 2 up to tau n, or I take m1 r1 square alpha plus m2 r2 square alpha up to mn Rn square alpha. Is it clear? Okay. Here alpha is a common term. I will take it outside, and in the bracket I'll write m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square up to mn rn square. Or I can write summation mi ri square, I starting from 1 to n into alpha, and this formula is nothing but for moment of inertia I, and hence I get the final expression tau equal to I alpha. This is the expression for torque acting on a rotating body. Friends, our next derivation is about law of conservation of angular momentum. Symbol of angular momentum is L and symbol of linear momentum is P. First, I will tell you the law of conservation of linear momentum. If an object is in motion, okay, and if there is no external force acting on that object, then its linear momentum will be conserved. Okay, there won't be any change in the linear momentum until and unless an external force acts on it. That is conservation of linear momentum. On the same basis, I explain you law of conservation of angular momentum. Suppose there is a rotating body, rotating object, okay, about it is rotating about an axis of rotation O. Now, if you don't apply any torque, or the external torque on this body is zero, then the total angular momentum L equal to I omega will be always conserved, or the value of L will be constant. Okay, this is called as the law of conservation of angular momentum, which I'll explain it on the board. Here some points you have to remember. See, if you take cross product of two similar vectors like V cross V, the answer comes out to be 0. In other words, I'll say a cross product of a vector with itself is 0. This you have learnt in 11th. Okay, so remember that point. Similarly, if you take differentiation of momentum, what we get is force. These 2 points to remember, and now I'll start with the derivation part. I will derive the expression for angular momentum, and I'll tell you how it is conserved. Now look at the board. Law of conservation of angular momentum. See, the statement goes like this. If no external torque acts on a rotating body, then the angular momentum of the body remains constant. Okay, this is a law, and we start with the derivation. See, this is a formula for angular momentum, vector L equal to R cross P. This we have learned earlier. Okay, now if you differentiate this with respect to time, dl by dt will be written as d by dt of R cross P. This I will write as R cross dp by dt plus dr by dt cross P. Okay. Now over here you should understand that dp by dt is equal to f. dr by dt, the radius vector, when you differentiate with respect to time, we get velocity, and p can be written as m into v. Okay, these values we have to substitute in this equation. Okay, dp by dt is vector f, dr by dt is vector v, and vector p is m into v. Now once again I write the equation. dl by dt equal to R cross, instead of dp by dt I'll write R cross f, okay, plus instead of dr by dt I'll write vector v cross m into vector v, or I can write this as R cross f plus m vector v cross vector v. Okay, when you take the cross product of two same vectors, the answer comes out to be 0. So this term will vanish in the equation. What remains is dl by dt equal to r cross f, and we all know r cross f gives you the moment of force or torque. So I can write this as tau. Okay, so finally I get dl by dt okay, equal to tau. Now as our statement says, if torque is 0, what will happen? Okay, if torque is 0, okay, dl by dt will also be 0 and L will be constant. L will be constant means what? The angular momentum will be conserved. Angular momentum will be conserved, or it will remain constant. Okay, so this is the expression which we derived. If torque acting on a rotating body is 0, then the total angular momentum of the rotating body will be conserved. See, now I will give you the examples of conservation of angular momentum. See, for that you can watch the videos on YouTube and you can get a clear idea about law of conservation of angular momentum. The first example I will tell you about ice skating and ballet dancing on ice. Okay, the dancers or the performers, they spin about their feet. Okay, and when they are spinning about on one feet, okay, and when they keep their arms away from the axis of rotation, you can see that their angular velocity is less. Why angular velocity is less? Because the hands, when they stretch their hands, the moment of inertia increases, I increases and omega decreases. Now ask me why. It is according to the law of conservation of angular momentum. L is given by I into omega. L will remain constant. If I increases, omega will decrease. And if I decreases, omega will increase. So when they stretch their hands, okay, their omega, angular velocity decreases. But when they move their hands towards their body, okay, their angular velocity increases. Because when you move your hands towards your body, the moment of inertia decreases and omega increases. And they spin with a larger magnitude, okay, the angular velocity increases. So in short, L remains constant. Whether I increases or decreases, it will change omega accordingly. But the product I into omega will remain constant. One more example I'll give is about the diving which takes place. Diving is an Olympic sport, and in diving, a person jumps into a swimming pool from a height. There's a platform from which he jumps. When he jumps from the platform, initially he wants to do somersaults. For that, he brings his arms and legs towards near each other. Okay, he brings his hands and legs near each other. As a result, in air, he spins a number of times. But the moment he is about to reach the surface of water, he stretches his arms and legs, so his rotation stops and he comes directly in water. Here also, when he brings his arms and legs near each other, moment of inertia decreases and angular velocity increases. But when he stretches his arms straight and legs also become straight, the moment of inertia increases and his angular velocity decreases. Okay, so I omega remains constant. If I increases, omega will decrease, or I decreases, omega will increase. So that these two are good examples of what? Law of conservation of angular momentum. See, next topic I will teach you is about radius of gyration. What? Radius of gyration. Now please try to understand this. Moment of inertia of any body, any object, depends on the distribution of mass about the axis of rotation. Understand this. If the mass is distributed away from the axis of rotation, the moment of inertia will be large, and if the mass is very close to the axis of rotation, the moment of inertia will be less. Okay. Now, to simplify the things, what we imagine, suppose there is a body of mass m, okay, having axis of rotation, and its moment of inertia is given by mr square. What? Mr square. Now, to get the same moment of inertia, I imagine a mass, okay, where the I imagine a mass where the object, this mass is having the same mass as what? The original body, and k is the distance between the axis of rotation and that mass. I repeat, I have taken a mass equal to the mass of the body, and I have taken certain distance from the axis of rotation such that the moment of inertia about this axis of rotation will be same as the moment of inertia of the original body. Okay, see, I will explain this on the board. Have patience and understand this concept. It's very simple concept. The concept is of radius of gyration. Okay. See, this is an object of mass m, okay, and r is the radius, and moment of inertia is mr square. And let us imagine that this moment of inertia comes out to 100 kg meter square. Remember, kg meter square is a unit of moment of inertia. Okay. Now what I do, I take a similar mass, okay, I take a mass at a certain distance, okay, I take a mass m which is equal to this object at a certain distance k, such that when I rotate this object about this axis, okay, when I rotate the object about this axis, the moment of inertia mk square is exactly equal to the moment of inertia which was earlier found in this object. Okay, so k can be called as the radius of gyration, which can be explained as follows. K, radius of gyration for a given body about axis of rotation, radius of gyration for a given body about the axis of rotation can be defined as the distance between the axis of rotation, and the point where the whole mass of body is supposed to be concentrated, so as to obtain the same moment of inertia as that of the body. Okay, I repeat once again. Moment of inertia for a given body, radius of gyration for a given body about an axis of rotation can be defined as, okay, can be defined as the distance between the axis of rotation and the point where the whole mass of body is supposed to be concentrated, so as to possess the same moment of inertia as that of the original body. So this is the idea of radius of gyration. See, radius of gyration is given by formula I equal to mk square, okay, or k square equal to I upon m, or k equal to square root of I upon m, right? So k equal to square root of I upon m is the formula for radius of gyration. Now let us find radius of gyration for two objects. One is uniform ring and one is a uniform disc. See, for ring, okay, for ring, moment of inertia is given by formula mr equal to mr square. So radius of gyration k will be under root I upon m, that is square root of mr square upon m, and that will be simply r. Okay. For disc, moment of inertia is given by formula mr square by 2, okay, with axis perpendicular to the plane. Okay, in this is a ring and this is a disc. In that case, k will become square root of mr square by 2 divided by m, or it will come out to be r by root 2. Okay, so this is the radius of gyration for a uniform disc, and this is the radius of gyration for the uniform ring.